Good afternoon, everybody. And today I'm going to be demonstrating this. I've done computer tutorials in the past, and I've explained about this setup in the past. But this time, I've revamped everything on the computer, and now I'm going to be demonstrating a quad boot solution. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start off saying, what is quad boot? So a lot of people, when you buy a computer or a laptop, it usually comes with one operating system pre-installed. So that's what you call a single boot. So it's every time you turn it on, it's just going to boot into that one operating system because that's all that's on there. There's no extra. Same with a dual boot, but in that case, in the dual boot case, that's two operating systems. So usually you could do that with two Windows versions or a Windows version and a Linux version. This time we're going to be demonstrating 4 operating systems, not 1, not 2, but 4 operating systems on the one hard drive. I'm going to be booting them up individually, and I'll show you what I've done on the partition table. So let's get into it. So I thought I'd shut down the computer so you can feel it with me. So I'll turn the computer on like I'm turning it on, just to use it, and you'll see what comes up. So we'll turn the computer on, sit back on this here. So the first thing that comes up when you turn it on, woohoo! You don't usually see this in a normal, like when you first buy a computer with stock firmware. So we've also got, so in front of us we've got the bootloader for the operating system. So at the moment you've got the Ubuntu, you've got the Windows, and then you've got Android, and also got 2 versions of Windows on it. So since this is an Android bootloader, we'll might as well start with Android. So we'll go to the Android. So this is pretty much Android like on your phone or your tablet, but this uses a keyboard and mouse to control it, and rather than touching the screen. But it's a full-fledged Android tablet, so this still turns my TV into a 55-inch tablet. It's a big tablet when you think about it, eh? So it's just booting up at the moment, so just give it a few secs. Here we go. See, there's the Android logo. So yeah, this is a 55-inch TV, and so imagine a 55-inch tablet, what you're going to see right now, but except this tablet gets controlled by a keyboard and mouse. So just give it time to load. So this is the first operating system I'm going to be showing you, and it's a full-fledged. There we go. So we're on the lock screen, so if we push space, just push space, and it should take us to unlocking it. So let me just do the password. And we're just unlocking, boom! Now it's a full-fledged Android. Oh, we get that That's just unfortunate. Google's having a problem with the system web view in certain apps, but the apps that I've got on here and the ones I need it for is enough to do what I need to do. So this is a full-fledged Android. So you've got the Google Play Store. If I grab the mouse, you've got the large cursor. You can click up here, bring down the notifications. See, you've got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. I've actually disabled the Wi-Fi card in this PC only because I'm connected through a Ethernet cable to receive my internet. So I don't need the Wi-Fi card in the laptop enabled. So I went to the BIOS and disabled it because, yeah, I don't need it in this case. Because first and foremost, the only time I'd need it is if I was disconnected from the modem, but I'm not. So you've got your notifications. So you can go to Play Store. See if you go to Play Store. Open the Play Store. So you can hear the notifications coming in. Telling me about COVID. But no use putting the COVID tracing app on here because it doesn't go nowhere with me. It stays in one place because it's a laptop with a broken screen, but uses my TV as its display, so I doubt that the laptop will be moving anywhere soon. So yeah, you can go on Play Store, download apps from the Play Store, all goods, games, But I'm telling you, if you're going to download certain games, you just got to be mindful that certain games are for touch. So if you're trying to get a multi-touch experience or a multi-click experience with Android x86 or x64, you're going to be disappointed. So just remember that anywhere you left click is like a touch. So if you hold a left click if you hold and left click, that'll be classed as a swipe. So if I hold, see, I can scroll like up and down. If I hold it, so that'll be like putting my finger on the screen and just dragging it up and down. Swiping is you sort of got to click, move, then unclick while you're moving. That's swiping. See? So yeah, so this is the first operating system. So now we're going to use, instead of going to the computer to push the power button, we're going to use the shortcut, which comes in handy. Saves me getting up off my seat. Restart. Now we're going to get back into that boot menu that you've seen again, and we're going to be launching the second operating system. So just give it time. Here we go. So now we're going to familiarize ourselves with Windows. So this Windows that's booting up, it's 8.1, and this has also got Windows 10 on it as well. So you'll see when when the HP part goes away, voila! So over here we got choose an operating system. So we've got Windows 8.1 by default because that's the one I always use. So we're going to log into Windows 8.1 and just show you it, and voila, there we go. BB. Just let me do my password. So I'm just using one hand to do my password, so just bear with me. Okay, 100. So this is fully fledged Windows 8.1. This is the light edition because I wanted light operating systems so I could have space to boot quad operating systems and still have sufficient space to use for those specific operating systems. So this is fully fledged Windows 8.1. And if we go to PC info, there it is. Just to prove to you it's 8.1. Oops. Hang on, let me do that again. Oops. So we go start menu, PC, and there it is, PC info. So let's bring it up. And Windows 8.1, there we go. It's right there. It's not activated, but you don't need to activate it to use it. With this version of Windows 8, certain ones you do, certain ones you don't. This one is a bootleg version, and those are easy to find. It's an unofficial version anyway. So yeah, so 8.1 Pro. So there we go. So now we're going to boot into Windows 10. So I was just showing, and then once I show you all these operating systems, I will show you the partition table and how I partition the hard drive, just so you get a clear idea of how I set it up. Because there was a few specific things I needed to do to make all operating systems run seamlessly. Beside there was a few work and a few tweakings to be done, but let's go back into the Windows. But I got it to run quad, and without me having to do anything complicated after it was set up. So, and as you're seeing now, so we're going to be booting into Windows 10, so we'll just wait until the boot menu comes up again. There it is, Windows 10. The computer's going to restart again. So we're going to go back into the bootloader. So just give it a couple of seconds. Here we go, push Windows environment again, and we will be booting into Windows 10. And see, Windows 8.1 has the twirly thing, like when you're restarting and logging in, it has it on the left side of it, as you see when I was restarting. This one is going to be on the top, because Windows 10 puts that twirly thing on the top. You'll see it when it says please wait. See how it's got the twirly thing at the top and the please wait underneath it? That's a Windows 10 thing. So I use Windows 10, so Windows 8.1 is my everyday OS. This is mainly for my, well, I actually use both operating systems for DJing. I've got Virtual DJ on 8.1 and I use the Serato Studio and DJ software on Windows 10 because it does not like Windows 8.1. So I had to install a light version of Windows 10 on here so I can play with the Serato software. So as I was saying, these are Serato software, but this is out of the tutorial. But this is what I use to make, operating system I use to do my beats. If I want to make beats from scratch, and also another DJing software. But Windows 8.1 I use also for virtual DJ, which I'm used to. I've still got to use to get Serato, still got to get used to it, but I will do one day. So this is Windows 10, fully fledged Windows 10. This is a light edition of Windows 10. So if we, hang on just a second, just let me just do these colors adjustments for me because it's hard to see like that. So off, on, just got to do that. So now, just to prove that it's Windows 10, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the settings, and we should be able to see the system info. So if we go to system, here we go, system, and then usually if we go to about, I think it is, yep, here it is. So this is the version 6 Lite edition of Windows 10. This is the 2018 version. So this one is, yeah, Intel Core. See, well, there we go, Windows 10 Pro. It's right down the bottom. So this is Windows 10 Pro. Yep. So this is what I use for experimenting and later software. So I don't personally use Windows 8 because I like it. Windows 10, it's not too bad. It's not my favorite operating system, but since I've got to use it to run later software, I have to use it for Serato, because I was saying before, Serato doesn't like Windows 8. So we're going to show you the last operating system. I'll show you the partition table, and yeah, we'll end the video. But I wanted you to get a feel with me, like the first turning it on to how it is, and then I'll show you how I'll sort of show you how I've demonstrated. So the last one is Ubuntu Studio. So it just says Ubuntu, but it is Ubuntu Studio. So if we go enter on there, and it comes up with the boot menu, there we go, Ubuntu. We'll just, oh, and you can also go backwards and forwards too. Oh, okay, that's cool. I just discovered something while I was on this video. So you could actually boot back into the previous if you didn't want to, or you can boot into Windows from here. So any way you can boot into it. So let's, rather than rambling, let's go into the last operating system, so I don't ramble on. So now we are launching Ubuntu Studio. So just give it a few seconds. You'll see the logo come up. It'll pop up for a couple of seconds, and then we'll go into the login screen. So it's just loading. There we go. Ubuntu Studio, Linux for creative humans. And boom. There we go. So now I'll just log in, and I'll show you Ubuntu Studio. I don't know where to go to see the information for the OS, but pretty much the logo said what it was, Ubuntu Studio. So yeah, there we go. We are logged into Ubuntu Studio, and we can access the menus. So you got audio production, video production, all that sort of stuff. So this is mainly, this is an operating system designed for audio, visual, and also graphical designers. So if you're any of those three and you like to get into those, and if you want to do it as a hobby, this operating system is good for you. So now we're going to log back into 8.1, and I am going to show you the partition table and give you a brief explanation how I done all this, because there was a few specific things I had to do to make sure this runs right, because one little mistake and it could end up you could either lose one or two of your operating systems, or you could bugger it up totally. But I will show you the specific things I done. So for this demonstration, we're going to use my everyday operating system, which is Windows 8.1. So just let me log in. I'll just log into the 8.1. Here we go. So we're just logging in. So we're going to use be using computer management. I will explain what everything means when we get to it. So don't feel like I'm going to be talking all this jargon, but I will explain it to a simplified view. So we're just going into disk management. This is where you manage partition. And I'll show you my specific. So this is what my partition table looks like. So the first operating system I installed on here was the 8.1. So I had wiped the whole entire hard drive, so it had no partitions on it, and I just went to install the first operating system, which is Windows 8.1 Lite Edition. So here we've got the UEFI partition. So this is the partition that when you first turn on the computer it will look for. So this holds all the boot files and the grub files, but we'll get into more of that later. So hang on, I'll just see if I can. Oh, it's not letting me zoom. It doesn't let me zoom. Oh well. So we've got the two UEFI partitions. So these two partitions are on the system reserve. So these are more for the Windows side of partitions, but this has also got the Android a grub loader in the first partition here that we are highlighting. This is reserved for Windows, the recovery partition. So this is for if something happens to your even Windows 10, it'll cater for both of them. You can repair stuff, or you can run repair tools to repair both of these operating systems. So this is reserved for the Windows. This is the UEFI for the grub, and yeah. So this is the 8.1 Lite. So what I had done was I had partitioned this first. I'd cut it in half so I could cater for these operating systems. So the second, so I installed 8.1. The second operating system I installed was 10. So this is when I'd cut it in half and just reinstalled 10. So these partitions weren't here when I was installing 10. These came later. So I installed 10, done all the procedures of setting up Windows 10. And after that was set up, I actually partitioned this hard drive. So we've got a few partitions here. We've got a swap partition. So this is a swap partition. This is about 4.32 gigs, 4.34 gigs. And this swap partition is for Ubuntu Studio. So this is like a area that's reserved on the hard drive for when your RAM gets full. So if the RAM in Ubuntu Studio gets full, any unused pages that are still left in the RAM that's filling it up, it'll temporarily dump it to the swap partition. So this is a partition that's dedicated to relieving your RAM. It doesn't make it doesn't speed up your computer, but it just helps stabilize it. Just so if you're running several apps in a low RAM environment, it just helps. It's for apps not to crash, and it just does its best to deal with that. So yeah, so that's just a area. This, you might as well just call it. It's like a RAM drive. It's dedicated for just RAM, but they call it swap in a Linux. So this is the partition that Ubuntu Studio is installed on. So this is the one hard drive. So this drive here is an optical drive. So I've got a DVD drive installed on this computer. So this is just one hard drive that's been partitioned. So this is the Ubuntu Studio. So this holds the Ubuntu Studio operating system and all the files associated with it. So if I make any production or documents using this operating system, everything gets saved here unless I choose to save it in a different location. So this is the Ubuntu Studio operating system here, and this one is formatted to swap. This one is formatted to ext3 because ext3 is more stable than ext4. I've had problems with ext4 file systems in the past, so I always format my stuff to ext3. Same with the Android x64. this has been formatted to ext3 as well. And this is the partition, the last partition in the table. And this partition here holds the Android operating system. So yeah, this holds the Android OS. So how I've made, because as I said, there was a few specific things I had to do. So in the installation, as I said, I installed Windows 8 first, Windows 10 second. I had to install Android third. So this Android is third. And you know how I was talking about the grub loader? So the grub loader is what boots up first before, and it tells you what operating system you want to do. I had to put the Android grub loader onto this EFI partition. This is what I was saying before. So the EFI partition is the first partition that the computer looks for when you're booting up or when you're turning on the computer. So any boot files or BCD files that are in here, whether it's grub or Windows, it will look for that first before it boots into any of these operating systems. So I had to install the grub files from Android, which was the third operating system, into the EFI. So the fourth and final, how I got this to work too, because by default, if I was to install Ubuntu Studio and don't do anything, it'll either wipe the whole hard drive and just install it as a standalone operating system, or it'll wipe the EFI partition out and wipe the boot configuration settings for Android. So I had to install the grub. I had to do a custom install with this as well. So the custom install, I had to set Ubuntu Studio's boot drive as the same partition as the operating system is installed on. So as far as Ubuntu Studio is concerned, the grub files and the grub bootloader is on there. So the reason why I did it like that is because Android's grub loader, as you've seen, caters for Ubuntu Studio. So I'll restart this computer and I'll show you before I close it. But yeah, the Android grub actually caters for Ubuntu. So when you first turn on the computer, it actually launches the Android grub, and I will show you, as you seen before, and as you've seen, how it catered for Ubuntu. So just to give you a final demonstration, we'll restart and we'll just show you the bootloader. So yeah, so this is how I've set up my quad booting method to quad boot multiple operating systems off the one hard drive. I'm not reliable for anyone that attempts to do this and fails to do a step wrong. So I'm not held reliable for any of that. So this is the Android grub menu. See, here you got the little Android, you got the Android name and also the logo, which is the robot man. So this is the Android's grub menu. So as I said, it includes Ubuntu Studio or Ubuntu in the grub menu. So if we go into Ubuntu Studio, for an example, this is what I mean by that partition that this is another grub. So there's got two grubs installed. So this this grub option here is actually installed on the same partition as Ubuntu Studio, but I wanted to use the Android grub by default. But I'm going to see if I can. I'm just going to see if I can launch, because it's giving me an option I can launch Android off this grub, but I don't know how it's going to act. I just want to try something here. I just want to see what it looks like and to see if it works. But yeah, so now I've actually, if this works, I've actually launched Android off a Ubuntu Studio grub. So that's how I set up my setup. Everyone's setup is a little bit different. Oh, that didn't work, but I can always install, and I can always run Android off its own grub. So that's how I've done my installation. Everyone's different. As I said, I'm not liable for anyone who tries to copy this and does a mistake. You do it at your own risk. I had to do mine at my own risk and actually had to start again a couple of times before I figured out how to do the specifics and the specific OSs to install first, second, third, and fourth, and also the configurations. So this is just demonstrating a quad boot solution and how you can do it. Yeah, how you'll do it. So you've been listening to Rob ET. Until next time, you have a good day and good night. And until next time, choo choo.